The discovery. The galaxy had always believed it understood predators. There were beasts on many worlds, creatures with fangs, claws, and hunger. But when alien scholars turned their attention to Earth, they found something that disturbed even their cold logic. They found humanity. From the beginning, the reports were whispered across council halls. The Terran world was classified as a death world, a place where survival demanded more than strength. It demanded cunning, patience, and teamwork. The aliens studied the animals of Earth and felt uneasy. Wolves hunting in coordinated packs, lions striking with sudden bursts of power, eagles soaring above with unblinking eyes that saw everything below. But one truth echoed above them all. Humans had inherited the instincts of all these hunters, yet shaped them into something far greater. The first record came from an exploration probe. It captured images of humans on a vast plain, no tools in, their hands only speed and persistence. The aliens were horrified when they realized what they were seeing, humans running after prey for hours, exhausting the animal until it collapsed. Endurance hunting, the scientists called it. Predators that did not stop, predators that chased until nothing could escape. In the high chambers of the Galactic Coalition, the Council debated endlessly. Some said humans were simply dangerous animals dressed in culture and speech. Others argued they could be controlled, trained like useful beasts. But one elder slammed his clawed hand on the table and growled, "You do not train an apex predator, you survive it." Among all the reports, one detail returned again and again. The Americans, in particular, showed instincts that unsettled even the bravest commanders. Their culture celebrated the hunt. Their history was filled with stories of tracking enemies through forests, deserts, oceans, and skies. Even in the age of machines, Americans trained, as if they carried the blood of wolves and eagles within them. The first alien cadets to read these files laughed. Humans? Apex hunters? They are fragile creatures with soft skin and weak claws, they mocked. But the laughter died quickly. A hidden file, sealed by order of the Coalition, was played for them. On the screen, grainy footage showed an American unit. Deep in alien territory, they had been cut off from supplies, surrounded by enemies 10 times their number. Yet instead of despair, the humans moved like shadows. One soldier lured a patrol into the dark, disappearing before striking with sudden violence. Another climbed a cliff with bare hands, dragging his enemy over the edge. The unit vanished for days, only to reappear in unexpected places, tearing holes in enemy lines before melting into the night again. Not soldiers, not survivors, hunters. The alien cadets stared in silence. A single thought passed among them. This is not how prey behaves. The footage ended with a chilling image, an American soldier crouched in the tall grass, motionless. For minutes the figure did not move, only eyes glinting under moonlight. And then, with sudden speed, he rose and charged like a predator that had been waiting all along. The file carried one final warning from the Coalition intelligence officer. Humans do not only fight wars, they stalk them. They study their enemy, they learn, they adapt, they never stop. If you corner them, they will not surrender. If you surround them, they will not break. They will become the hunters, and you will become the prey. The young cadet who watched this file felt his scales shiver. He turned to his commander and whispered, "Why do we even allow these predators into our galaxy?" The commander gave no answer, but in his eyes there was something far more frightening than words. Fear. From that moment, a truth began to spread like fire across the galaxy. The humans were predators, yes, but the Americans, those were the hunters who rose above all others. The galaxy had discovered humanity, and the discovery filled them with dread. The first encounter. The alien coalition had studied humans for years, but no amount of files or warnings prepared them for the day of the first true encounter. It began quietly. A scouting fleet sent into a border system claimed by both humans and aliens. The aliens believed it would be a controlled test, a chance to observe humanity's reactions. They expected fear, hesitation, maybe diplomacy. What they got instead was something far more unsettling. The American vessel was not large. It was not covered in heavy weapons or thick armor. It moved calmly, almost carelessly across the void, as if the hundreds of alien ships waiting for it did not matter. On the bridge, American officers spoke in quiet voices. No panic, no rushing, only calm planning. They reminded one another of hunters in the forest whispering before the strike. The alien commander sneered when he saw this. To them, this is not a war, it is a hunt. One advisor muttered. The commander waved his claw. Then let us see if the hunters can survive. Being prey, he gave the order for his ships to surround. The galaxy had always relied on numbers. To alien minds, overwhelming force meant certain victory. But as the fleet closed in, something strange happened. The American vessel did not run, did not even change course. It moved as if it had already predicted every angle of the trap. The first shots fired lit up the black sky. Alien cannons roared, plasma streaks raced across space, but the humans were already moving. The ship tilted sharply, sliding between fire like a predator weaving through branches. A counterstrike followed, not a barrage, but precise. One alien cruiser's engines exploded. Cut apart with surgical accuracy, shock rippled through the alien fleet. This was not random fire. This was not survival instinct. It was hunting instinct. Inside the American ship, orders were given without shouting. Cut their supply line, the captain said. A single wing of drones detached, slipping through blind spots. Minutes later, the aliens' rear vessels went dark, their power grids shredded. The hunters had begun circling their prey, and alien officers' scales paled. They are dividing us, he whispered. Divide and bleed, the commander muttered, finally understanding. Humans were not fighting the fleet as a whole. They were pulling it apart, isolating pieces, and striking each one like wolves dragging prey away from the herd. In desperation, the alien commander ordered a full rush, every ship forward, crush the human vessel before it escaped. But this only made the trap clearer. The American vessel darted through asteroids, luring ships into tight spaces where their size became weakness. The aliens tried to follow, but one by one their vessels slammed into rock, ambushed by hidden mines, cut down by precision strikes. To the aliens, it was madness. To the humans, it was instinct. When the smoke cleared, the great alien fleet limped away in fragments. Only a handful of ships survived the encounter. The human vessel did not pursue, it only drifted behind them, watching, patient, like a predator letting wounded prey run, knowing it could return at any time to finish the hunt. That night in the Alien War Council, silence fell heavy over every officer. No one dared laugh at the idea of human predators anymore. The commander himself, beaten and humiliated, spoke in a low voice. They fight like no species we have ever known. They are not prey. They are not soldiers. They are hunters. And if we do not learn, we will not survive. Among the younger alien cadets, rumors spread quickly. Stories of humans moving like shadows, striking without fear, hunting fleets like animals in the dark. Some cadets trembled in fear, but others whispered of something dangerous, admiration. For in every galaxy there were those who respected strength, and no strength was greater than the patience, the cunning, the cold hunger of the hunter. And so, the galaxy's first encounter with Americans was written not as a battle, but as a warning. The humans had not fought to survive, they had fought to dominate, and the galaxy had only begun to understand what that meant. The hunt begins. The first encounter had left the alien fleet shaken, but the galaxy believed it was only luck. They told themselves the humans could not repeat such victories. They convinced one another that hunters were strong only in the shadows, not against the full light of war, but when the hunt began. Every lie they told themselves was ripped apart. American battle groups no longer waited for war to come to them. They moved through the stars like hunters moving through a forest. Their ships were quiet, their presence unseen until it was too late. One by one, alien supply lines went dark. Convoys vanished and colonies lost contact with their guardians. It was not invasion. It was stalking in one sector. A massive alien freighter drifted with no escort. Its crew laughed at human stories, mocking the idea of predators in space. But then, strange signals filled their scanners, faint pings, shadows flickering in the distance. The crew leaned forward. Confused, nothing appeared. No ships, no fleets, only silence. And then, in the span of heartbeats, the freighter's engines exploded. No warning, no demand, no mercy. Only the strike of hunters. Alien commanders tried sending larger fleets. But the Americans adapted, breaking massive formations apart with sudden traps. They would lure ships into asteroid belts where hidden mines waited, or drag fleets through nebula clouds, where electronic signals twisted and ships lost contact. In the confusion, the humans, struck like wolves in the fog, disappearing before anyone could strike back, reports flooded the Coalition Council. "They fight like no enemy we have ever faced," one officer said with trembling voice. "They bleed us slowly, they study us, they take us apart. We never see them until they are already inside our walls." Some tried to compare the humans to predators from their own worlds, but none fit. Wolves, tigers, serpents, all killed. For food or defense, humans killed with something worse: strategy, patience, purpose. They were not predators by need, but predators by choice. An alien commander who had fought them once gave his testimony before the council. He had lost half his fleet in less than an hour, not to overwhelming firepower, but to tricks and traps. "They played with us," he admitted bitterly. "They circled us, cut us apart, made us fear shadows. We were the prey, and they knew it. They enjoyed it." Among the humans, the Americans became legends. Their ships earned names whispered with dread: the Silent Eagle, the Ghost Wolf, the Black Talon. Every battle was the same pattern. The aliens arrived ready for war, but the Americans turned it into a hunt. They never wasted fire, never revealed their numbers, never gave the enemy rest. They fought like the ancient predators of Earth. But their hunting ground was now the endless void. In one famous strike, a single American carrier entered alien space and vanished. For weeks, no one saw it. Then the reports came: 4 enemy bases destroyed, 12 fleets crippled, 20 convoys gone. When alien scouts finally found the carrier again, it drifted silently in the shadow of a gas giant, its hull scarred, its weapons quiet. Yet the moment scouts drew close, its eyes opened. Hundreds of fighters burst forth, and the hunters began again. Panic spread across the galaxy. Commanders refused to enter human space. Merchants refused to travel routes where Americans were rumored to patrol. The coalition itself began to fracture. Some species demanded peace at any cost. Others demanded annihilation of humanity, even if it meant burning half the galaxy to ash. But in the shadows, one truth was whispered again and again. The Americans had claimed the hunt, and the hunt would never end. On Earth, commanders listened to intercepted messages and smiled. For every alien voice trembling with fear was another sign of victory. And for the Americans, victory was not enough. They wanted dominance, they wanted the galaxy to understand. The apex hunter had arrived. Lessons in fear. The galaxy had suffered many defeats, but no loss was more painful than the one humans inflicted on their pride. Entire fleets had been turned into prey, supply chains shredded like meat beneath claws. And so the Alien Council ordered a new plan: not more weapons, not more fleets, but knowledge. They would study humans the way humans studied prey. Libraries across the stars filled with records of Earth. Alien historians dug into human culture, searching for weakness. But what they found only deepened their fear. They read of wolves running in packs across snowy forests. They saw paintings of hunters painting their faces, moving in silence before striking. They studied the eagle that soared high above, waiting patiently before diving with deadly speed. Every lesson revealed the same truth: humans were not only predators, they were the children of predators. In one hall of study, a scholar projected images of human wars, armies crawling through mud, striking in the dark, waiting for days in silence only to attack in minutes. The council members shuddered. "This is not survival," one whispered. "This is obsession," another muttered. The humans did not just hunt to live, they hunted because it was in their very blood. The most disturbing discovery came when they studied a tactic humans called patience hunting. Records showed tribes chasing animals until exhaustion broke them, Generals compared it to the way American fleets stalked their enemies for weeks before delivering one strike. The similarity was undeniable. It was as if humanity had simply extended their ancient hunt into the stars. One alien officer who had survived an American ambush was called to speak. He stood before the council, his voice trembling. "They waited for us. We thought we had trapped them, but they had trapped us instead. They did not rush. They did not fear. They only watched. And when we weakened, they struck. Like hunters who already knew how the story would end." The room fell into silence. No one dared challenge him, for his words matched too closely with the files, the battles, the scars left on every fleet that had faced the Americans. In desperation, some leaders tried to argue that humanity could be reasoned with. "Perhaps they can be allies," one said hopefully. "They fight because we push them, not because they desire blood." But others shook their heads. "Do you not see? Hunting is not their tool. It is their identity. They may ally today, but tomorrow, when the stars shift, they will hunt again." Among the soldiers of the galaxy, stories spread even faster, whispers of humans who never slept, who studied every weakness, who turned battlefields into hunting grounds. Some called them demons, others called them shadows. But in hushed tones, one name began to rise above the rest: the Apex. Meanwhile, on American ships, officers studied alien reactions with cold amusement. They read intercepted reports, noting how fear had begun to rot the enemy from the inside. One admiral leaned over the table of his war room and spoke softly. "They are learning the truth, but it will not save them, for hunters do not care what prey understands. The hunt always ends the same way." Still, the galaxy tried to resist. They built traps, laid decoys, and spread false information. But the humans adapted again, faster than anyone believed possible. Every time aliens thought they had finally predicted the predator, they realized the predator had been watching them first. In the end, the lessons the aliens tried to use became lessons in fear. Every discovery about humanity was another cut across their courage. Every history book was another nightmare. And with every passing day, the galaxy came closer to accepting a truth none of them wanted to believe. The humans were not only predators, they were hunters of hunters, and in the great forest of stars there was no creature more dangerous than that. Apex proved. The alien council had grown desperate. Every trap, every plan, every strategy had failed. Humans did not fight like prey. They did not fight like soldiers. They fought like predators, and predators could not be tamed. So the council forged a final gamble. They called together the largest fleet in galactic history. Thousands of warships gathered in the void, their weapons blazing with energy, their commanders full of grim determination. "This time," they told themselves, "this time we will drown the hunters in numbers." The humans knew they were coming. American intelligence had already tracked the fleet's movements, but instead of retreat, instead of fear, the Americans prepared as if they had been waiting for this very moment. To them, the hunt was not ending. It was about to reach its peak. The battle began with silence. The alien fleet advanced in perfect formation, their numbers stretching across the stars like a wall of fire. Inside their command ship, the alien admiral growled, "Close the circle, crush them before they escape." To alien minds, victory was simple math. No predator could face an entire forest alone, but humans were not simple predators. They were hunters who had learned to turn the forest into a weapon. The first strike came not from the front, but from the shadows of an asteroid belt. Hidden mines detonated, tearing holes in the outer line of the alien armada. Panic rippled through the ranks, but still they pressed forward. Then the humans struck again. Fighter wings darted from nebula clouds, hitting weak points, then vanishing like ghosts. The aliens fired wildly, destroying more of their own ships than the enemy. Inside the American flagship, the captain's voice was calm. "They are pushing too far. Split them, starve them, bleed them." His crew obeyed without hesitation. The humans did not waste energy. In open battle, instead, they cut the alien fleet apart. They isolated clusters of ships, ambushed them, then disappeared again. Every time the aliens tried to regroup, Another hidden strike tore their formation apart. The hunters were circling the way. Alien admiral roared in fury. "They are only one fleet, we are thousands, press forward." But deep inside, even he began to feel it. The fear, the gnawing truth that numbers did not matter when every shadow hit a predator. Hours passed, and the battlefield turned into chaos. Alien ships drifted powerless, their crews screaming as American forces struck with surgical precision. Some ships surrendered, but the humans did not slow, for hunters did not stop until the prey was broken. The final moment came when the Americans unleashed their trap. Dozens of hidden carriers emerged from the darkness, surrounding what remained of the alien command ships. Suddenly, the hunters were not circling. They were closing in from his viewport. The alien admiral watched as the American flagship rose from the black. It moved with quiet confidence, weapons glowing like the eyes of a beast ready to finish the kill. The admiral's claws trembled. This is not war," he whispered. "This is the hunt." With one final barrage, the alien command ships were destroyed. The largest fleet in galactic history had been shattered in a single day. The hunters had proved themselves beyond all doubt. They were not merely predators, they were the apex hunters of the galaxy. Across the stars, the news spread like wildfire. Alien soldiers whispered of shadows that could not be fought, fleets that vanished in the night, prey that became predator. But above all, one truth echoed in every corner of the galaxy. The humans had not only survived, they had dominated. And among them, it was the Americans who stood tallest. The galaxy had tried to cage them, tried to outnumber them, tried to crush them. But the hunters had risen, and no prey could stand against them now. Respect and fear, the great fleet lay in ruins. Wreckage drifted through the void, silent reminders of arrogance. The galaxy had gambled everything on numbers, and it had lost, for the Americans had not fought with size, but with instinct. They had turned war into the oldest truth of Earth. The hunt, the survivors returned with haunted eyes. Commanders who had once mocked humans now spoke only in whispers. "They do not fight for defense," one muttered. "They fight for dominance," another added. Every alien who faced them carried the same scar, not on the body but in the mind, the scar of prey that had looked into the eyes of its hunter. In the High Council, silence filled the chamber. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy admitted its fear. One elder stood, his voice trembling. "We built fleets. They built instincts. We forged weapons. They forged patience. We believed ourselves rulers, but we were only prey. And the hunters have claimed their throne." But fear was not the only seed planted. Among soldiers and cadets, whispers grew of admiration, stories of humans who never gave up, who fought like shadows, who hunted fleets larger than themselves. Some called them demons, but others gave them a different name: masters. In training halls across alien worlds, young warriors copied human tactics. They painted their armor in dark shades, moved in silence, struck in sudden bursts. Commanders frowned at such imitation, but deep inside they understood why. The galaxy had always respected strength, and no strength was greater than the hunter's patience. Meanwhile, American fleets listened to intercepted messages with cold amusement. They heard alien broadcasts filled with trembling voices. They read reports of soldiers refusing to march when told they would face humans. Entire units collapsed at the rumor of an American ship nearby. The hunt was not only in space, it was in their minds, yet something more dangerous began to spread. A quiet rebellion among alien ranks. Some soldiers asked the forbidden question, why fight them when we could follow them? The thought was heresy, yet it grew. For prey did not hate the predator forever. Sometimes it longed to serve under it. On Earth, commanders discussed these reports. Some warned that admiration could turn into alliances. Others smiled and saw opportunity. They will bow to strength, one general said softly, and we will decide who deserves to stand at our side. In the outer colonies, proof of this shift appeared. Small alien outposts refused council orders. Instead, they reached out to human envoys. They traded willingly, asked for protection, begged to be taught the art of the hunt. The galaxy was Not only learning fear, it was learning respect, but respect was a double-edged blade. For every alien who admired humans, another swore vengeance. The council split apart, half demanding peace, half demanding extermination. And in that fracture, the humans thrived. Hunters always thrived when the herd was divided. One night, under the stars of a council world, a young alien cadet sat alone. He had seen humans only once, yet the memory still burned in his mind. He remembered their eyes, sharp, patient, unblinking. He whispered into the silence, "They are not like us. They are not like anyone. They are the apex." Across the galaxy, in ships and stations, the same truth was spoken. Humans had risen beyond predators. They had become the hunters of hunters. And the Americans, more than any others, had claimed the place of apex hunters in the stars. The apex hunters of the galaxy. The galaxy was no longer the same. Where once the council's word had been law, now silence filled their chambers. Every plan to crush humanity had failed. Every fleet they sent had returned in pieces. The predators they had mocked had claimed the stars as their hunting ground. Across alien worlds, fear and respect mixed like storm and fire. In some places, children were warned never to speak the word human aloud. In others, soldiers painted their armor with human symbols, hoping to borrow even a shadow of their strength. The Americans had become something larger than enemies. They had become myth. On frontier stations, merchants whispered stories of American ships that vanished into shadows. They told tales of fleets destroyed without a sound, of hunters who never tired, of prey that never escaped. No one knew which stories were true. But in the end, truth did not matter. Fear was the greater weapon, and humans wielded it with patience. The alien council split into fragments. Half begged for peace, desperate to stop the bleeding. Half demanded vengeance, blinded by pride. But as they argued, American fleets grew stronger. They built new carriers, new weapons, new traps. The hunters sharpened their claws, waiting for the next chase. In hidden barracks, alien soldiers began to speak treason. Why fight them when we could learn from them, they asked. Why die as prey when we could live as hunters? Commanders silenced them, but whispers could not be stopped. Every soldier who had seen humans knew the truth. No army could erase the image of eyes that never blinked, of patience that never broke. And then, the final message came, not from the council, not from frightened survivors, but from humanity itself. On every channel across the stars, the feed lit up with the face of an American general. His voice was calm, steady, filled with the weight of the hunt. You thought we were prey. You thought numbers would protect you. You thought the hunters of Earth would bow to the galaxy. He leaned forward, his eyes sharp as steel. But the hunt has only begun. The word struck harder than any fleet. Across the galaxy, entire systems fell silent. Some dropped their weapons and swore allegiance. Others trembled and prepared for wars they already knew they could not win. For the galaxy now understood the truth that had been hidden in every battle. Humans were not just another species, they were the apex hunters. And at the front of it all, the Americans stood like shadows in the dark. Their fleets moved with patience, their tactics with purpose, their hearts with the blood of wolves and eagles. The galaxy had measured them, underestimated them, and tried to cage them. Now the galaxy would live forever under their gaze. For once the apex claims the forest, no creature ever forgets the sound of its footsteps. In the quiet after the broadcast, a young alien cadet whispered the words others dared not. They are not warriors, they are not soldiers. They are hunters, and hunters rule the stars. Thus the story ended, not with peace, not with surrender, but with a truth carved into every heart across the galaxy. The humans had risen, the hunters had claimed their ground, and the Americans had become the apex.